Welcome everyone to my webinar. I'm Pam Carruthers of Healing Stars, and I help you navigate major life transitions gracefully with soul astrology and spiritual life coaching. And tonight I'm talking about Venus. I'm talking about Venus and the moon and this cycle that is all about restoring power and restoring energy to each and every chakra in the body. And this is about our power and our passion. Just saying that, and then I'm having a problem. That's it. Venus and the Goddess. Now this, people who've already seen a former webinar, this is repeating, but it's nice to know things, to reinforce things. And I'm talking about the gates of initiation. So tonight, we're talking about Venus, this synodic, it's called a synodic cycle, and her connection with the goddess Inanna, the picture you see on the right, very ancient Sumerian goddess, and the 7 chakras, our personal energy system, but in terms of Venus, our personal feminine power. That means the ability to receive. It's not to do with gender. And the astronomy, a little brief thing about the astronomy. As a planet, Venus goes retrograde. All planets go retrograde apart from the Sun and Moon. And she disappears from view. So in effect, she's going underground. And this is true of every planet that joins the Sun, which is only Venus and Mercury, by the way. The others don't do that necessarily. So the story of the goddess, I'm talking tonight about how Venus is associated with this ancient myth of Inanna, the Queen of Heaven, who descends into the underworld. Venus is the diamond. Venus is that brightest star in the sky apart from the moon. And people often say, well, what's that in the sky? It's Venus, or people sing. And it orbits between the Sun and the Earth. So it's never more than 47 degrees away from the Sun, the 360 in the whole wheel of the zodiac. So it's very, very close. So therefore it can only ever be in the same sign as the Sun or the sign either side. And that's your birth chart. So wherever your Sun is, your Venus is very close by, as is Mercury both. And so Venus is like the hand mirror of the Sun. It's seen in the symbol. And what you're seeing above is a picture of Venus in the Pleiades, which was in April 2nd, 2012. Venus will be going past the Pleiades again this year. But here's the orbit of Venus. So as you can see in the diagram, at the center, here's the Sun, then we get Mercury, then we get Venus, then we get the Earth, and then Mars. So Venus takes only about 225 days to orbit the Sun, but when she's viewed from Earth, her full synodic cycle, and that word means one inferior conjunction to inferior conjunction with the Sun. There's no inferior in terms of superior, it's just an astronomical term, and that takes 584 days, or about 1.6 years. And this is due to the interaction of Venus's 220-day orbit with the 365-day orbit of the Earth. So there are these numbers for those of you who love numbers. And what's going on is quite beautiful. There is a dance going on. Venus goes retrograde for approximately 40 to 43 days every 18 months. The last time was last January in 2014. So over a period of 8 years, these points of retrograde will form a pattern, a pentacle, as you can see in the middle of this diagram. And this is the 5-petal lotus. It's known as a spiral fractal. It's, of course, our hands. You know, we have 4 digits and a thumb, 5. You know, it's very much, 5 is a very, very powerful number to do with humanity. You know, the 2 arms, the 2 legs, and your head. So this is the circle of 360 degrees divided by 5. and that's called a quintile, which is 72 degrees. And these are creative aspects in astrology. And through the period of Venus being retrograde as 40 days, its full cycle is profound. So over a period of 110 days, Venus will pass over 16 degrees of the zodiac, 3.5 months. Now something called the heliacal rising occurs, Helios is the sun, when it first becomes visible above the eastern horizon for a brief moment just before sunrise, after a period of time when it's not been visible. So Venus is visible when it's 10 degrees apart from the sun, either ahead of the sun or behind the sun. Otherwise we can't see it because the sun is so bright, obviously any planet close makes it invisible. And we're in something called, in the shamanic astrology, called a tone or a cycle to do with Capricorn. Venus was in Capricorn, seems a while ago now, but 5th of November 2013 to the 5th of March 2014. And Venus went retrograde on December 21st, 2013. Then what happened was Venus rose in the sky, this was last year, as a morning star. So the heliacal rise of Venus last year was January the 17th at 18 degrees of Capricorn. So she spent 260 days as a morning star. And through that cycle, she joined the moon 7 or 8 times. Last year, Venus stationed direct at 31st of Jan at 13 degrees of Capricorn, which happens to be the degree of the Grand Cross, which occurred last year. The major astrological event last year was this Grand Cross, and that was in April. Now, the diagrams on the right show you, just very easily, you look at your birth chart, here's the sun, here's Venus. So as the sun rises, everything goes clockwise, and it will set before Venus. So Venus, this is what Venus is doing now. Venus is setting after the sun, so she's an evening star. The other way round, Venus is ahead of the sun. So she's the morning star, and that was her cycle last year. She's actually called Lucifer when she does that, and it means the light bearer. It's not at all negative. So in your chart, your Venus is either an evening or a morning star. Now, this is something of great importance for us all to focus on. Venus retrograde will join the sun in just 5 signs in your lifetime. That's very few signs. There's 12 of them. So you're going to get an imprint of this Venus and sun energy every 8 years. And the cycle, the whole of that cycle is 72 years. So from 1966 right through to 2047, that Venus joining the sun will only happen in Aries, Scorpio, Gemini, Capricorn, Leo / Virgo. Last time Venus joined the sun last time it joined in Leo, which is where it's going to be this year, was here, 17th of August 2007. So it's coming back. That's the 8-year cycle. So there's a return this August to what Venus was doing in your life 8 years ago. So what was in your focus back then? You know, what energy, what love, relationships, that's what Venus is all about. And Venus in Leo is the queen. It's the heart energy. So we're going to be asked this year to return to that. And it's a strong leadership place, a place, obviously a royalty. Venus, as I said, is visible when it's 10 degrees away from the sun. So this is this chart of 5 signs. Notice, the pentacle. And last year, 21 degrees of Capricorn, it was retrograde. Notice it moves down through, and that's the next cycle beginning this year at 22 of Leo. You might notice, in 2014, we had Scorpio, that was there. In 2010, we had Gemini, in March 2013, Aries, these are these signs that keep occurring one by one. As Venus joins the Sun, the metaphor is that the goddess is descending into the underworld. And Venus is associated with the Sumerian myth of Inanna, the Queen of Heaven. And it's a deep myth. What happens is she descends from heaven and goes into the underworld to visit her sister Aries-signifying. And one story says she's witnessing the funeral of Aries-signifying's husband. But there's a touch of hubris here, i.e. no one can go into the underworld and leave, apart from mythology from Mercury. So she believes, obviously, that you can go in, have a visit, and come back again. Aha, no. So this is why, when she arrives, Aries-signifying is furious, because she's saying that the upper world goddess has to be treated by the laws of her kingdom, and that she be brought naked and bowed low. So what happens is Inanna is stripped of her power and her vestments, her robe, her ring, all of the things to do with power at different gates, 7 gates, and then she's killed. So what's going on is Inanna descends, she submits, and she dies. She sacrifices herself for deep feminine wisdom and also for atonement. And one poem talks very much about Inanna feels the call, the real urge to go down, to descend. Her body, her feeling, I have to go, I have to go. So this is a very deep, deep, sacred process and initiation that she goes through to meet her sister, who is the dark feminine. The card you see, the image you see, is from the goddess oracle. So here, it's quite a pretty picture, but actually, her sister is a monster. She's dark, she's hairy, she's revolting, she smells, and here's Inanna, all beautiful, all pure. So this is the desire for us all, psychological process, for us all to meet the shadow, the part we don't really want to recognize. And Aries-signifying is symbolizing the destructive and also transformational mysteries of the underworld. And these 7 gates represent the 7 chakras. This is the thesis, the theory. So here's a picture also from the goddess oracle. This is actually Shakti, but it shows very clearly the chakras in the body and the colours associated with this. So the conjunctions that Venus makes each month with the moon while she's visible, that's very important, they correlate with the 7 gates of the chakras that Inanna passes through. The first chakra corresponds, which was last year, to the crown. Last year she was descending, so she gives up her crown. And then the last to the root chakra, when she gives up her life. That was last year. So here are the dates for last year. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but what I'm interested in at the moment is Aries, because Aries is where Venus and the moon are going to be joining this week. So this is the 3rd chakra. Last year, the 3rd chakra happened to be in Pisces. And look at it, it's April 25th. Sorry, this gate 3. Sorry, I'm getting confused myself. The third gate, last, because she's descending. The solar plexus chakra is, of course, gate 5 down here, the personal power. So that is in Gemini. So beginning of Gemini, 1 degree Gemini, ruled by Mercury, which is Gemini, the trickster. Mercury is still playing games. Last year, there was no lunar Venus conjunction in Taurus, which is Venus's own sign, one of her 2 signs. I thought that was quite interesting. But even so, I looked at gate 3, throat chakra, because that does represent power. The throat is the other power chakra in our body. So the third chakra, the center, the solar plexus, relates to our throat as well, especially as women. Women, you know, speaking up is also very much to do with our personal power. So here we have it last year, 1 degree Gemini, ruled by Mercury, the throat chakra. So that's what the chart of the first gate here, this is December 2014, so this is the beginning, and interesting, it's Capricorn, which is very much to do with the root chakra. In terms of chakras and planets, there are different schools of thought, but most tend to agree the root chakra is Saturn, it is Aquarius and Capricorn both. Here we have it. You know, here's the Sun and Mercury, Pluto, Moon, Venus. I'm showing you a chart set for Aries, so it's whole signs Aries, so it doesn't matter where in the world you are when you look at this. So you can notice the colour, Capricorn, royal blue, very, very powerful and status, and we're in this overtone of Capricorn, the crone, the elder, the wise woman. So this occurred just after the winter solstice. Venus and the Moon, of course, you can see them, very close to Pluto. Power, but also the underworld. They were also squaring the nodes of the Moon alongside Uranus, which is the ongoing T-square, it's called a T-square in astrology, that we are all going through in the world. So Venus, Moon came together. Capricorn as a sign is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn was right at the end of Scorpio, exactly here. So at the top here, in the turquoise sector, is Saturn. 29 minutes, 56, 29 degrees, 56 minutes of arc. So it changed sign at the same day, you know, just later on that day. So that's a very unstable situation, very precarious. And in the UK, we had the awful event in Scotland, actually, of a lorry driver, a bin driver, who lost control, and his lorry just went into the street and killed a whole group of people, and quite a few were in the same family. It was an extraordinary event, very, very out of the blue. Everyone was shopping for Christmas, very sudden, very tragic. And also family, which is, you know, the whole essence of, you know, joy, Christmas. What a powerful event, and as I said, very unpredictable event, very Uranus in its nature. The second gate, which until the 20th we're still in, this is at 23 degrees of Aquarius. And this is our emotional chakra, the second chakra, to do with creativity. It occurred on January 22nd at 1:44 a.m. GMT. And of course it's, look at it, you know, here it is in the sign of Aquarius, naturally to do with the 11th house, a birth chart, groups, humanitarian aid, a fixed air sign, ideas. It's governed by Uranus, the planet of innovation and genius. Just after Mercury goes retrograde, this happened, and Mercury, that lovely planet of communication, that little trickster energy, returns to the same degree on the 3rd of March. So it's very significant. So if you're anything creative, anything you want to give birth to, which is it could be a project you have, a website, anything, you know, anything that you, a child of course, naturally, but this Mercury energy is returning you back to this date, to the time when Venus and the Moon were together. Jupiter was right opposite. Jupiter's retrograde still. So there's a difference in ideology and faith and religion. Jupiter is to do with religion. So we've seen, of course, in the world, you know, this the IS, the ISIS this huge things about I'm right, no, I've got God on my side, my religion's better than yours. This is a whole Jupiter-Mercury energy. But meanwhile, Pluto is squaring the nodes of the moon. This was in the news around that time, just about the day before, and it was the impact of sportswomen's menstrual cycle on their performance. And it's called the last taboo in sport, and it was raised by the former British tennis #1, Annabel Croft. And her comments were made following the British #1, Heather Watson, whose image is here, in the Australian Open first round defeat. She was defeated because she admitted to feeling unwell. In fact, I think she was having her period. And of course, this is what sportswomen go through on a regular basis, but no one's talking about it. And this is very much the second chakra. And also at the same time, and I'm not a reader, so I'm not sure, I didn't actually buy the paper, but the Sun announced it was going to close, it was no longer going to publish the Page 3 girls. For those of you not in the UK, this is Rupert Murdoch. It's been going on for forever, it seems like, long time. I'm not sure if it's a joke, if it's back, but that's very much a Venus-Moon topic of news. So we can be aware that sometimes the news will always reflects the planets, astrology. I want to alert you to last year, the third gate of power at 1 degree Gemini. So this is to do with the loss of power on June 24th. Now, some of you might know what happened to you last year on June 24th. It might be significant, but it's an interesting chart because it's at the beginning of Gemini. Here it is down here, Gemini. And at that time, way down the bottom of this chart, at that time, Mercury was retrograde because it governs Gemini. And it was retrograde and it joined the Sun on the 19th of June, as it happened when the Moon was at 0 degrees of Aries. 0 degrees of Aries is where Venus and the Moon are going to be joining on the 20th. So there might be, if you are someone who keeps a record of events in your life, a return in some way. Did you speak up or have a problem speaking up last year? Did you feel you might have lost your power in some way? Worth thinking about. Now, Aries is the pioneer of the zodiac. It's the first sign, so it relates to birth, to the first year of life. It's ruled by Mars, the planet of desire, getting our needs met. That's what Mars is all about. It rules anger, it rules blood, it rules our life force energy. We need Mars for our survival, to fight injustice. And tuning in today, preparing for this, the card that I've chosen is from Chuck Spezzano's Archetype and Shadows pack, and it's called the Paladin. And Mars, when it's the Paladin, is the spiritual warrior. Mars, he writes, the Paladin rather, is the protector of the weak, a friend to the downtrodden. The Paladin's heart is pure. They carry a bright light. They lead the way forward for others to follow. So I have actually skipped, yes, this is it. I've just skipped over it. So coming back, this is the chart for February the 20th. It's at the first degree of Aries. Here it is. The Moon, 0 Aries, 10 minutes. Venus, 0 Aries, 10 minutes. Mars, 0 Aries, 44 minutes. They are all incredibly close. Right at the beginning of the zodiac. This is very, very, very significant. It's very rare. It's very unusual. What's going on is a very good connection, called sextile, a good connection to the sun. The sun's in Pisces. But symbolically, the sun is in the 12th house. So if you think of this as a birth chart, I know some of you might know a birth chart, what it looks like. But if you were born exactly at this time, 3:29 a.m., or somebody's going to be born then, obviously, in the world. But what it's saying is the Sun, Neptune, Chiron are all hidden away in the 12th house, which is the unconscious, the womb. It's symbolic of the womb. I do a process, I do a workshop called Healing a Birth Story. And so if I'm looking at this as somebody's chart, I go, oh, what was going on before birth in that womb? The moon joining Venus and Mars. This person is a pioneer. This person is going to be out there doing something. Very passionate. Because that's what Mars brings here. There is a good, very good, all the blue lines are positive, a trine, a flow of energy to Saturn. It means Saturn's in a fire sign, Moon, Venus, Mars also in fire signs. Their fire energy is strong, and Saturn can bring things into manifestation. Saturn grounds whatever ideas we have. There's also a trine. It's not really going to the moon, I have to say it's quite wide, but there is a flow of energy coming through Jupiter at this time. Actually, it's really very close to the south node into Uranus. And that is forming, it's a very lucky formation, by the way, Jupiter and Uranus. It's a real winning the lottery energy, you know, things that come out of the blue, but they're very, very good. So that's happening also in this chart. The other significant energy, I'm looking at a lot of Mercury at the moment, Mercury is also in a very good relationship to Saturn. It's in a sextile, which is a talent. So one is we can make things happen, we write things down, we connect with what our message is, and we have the passion, the fire energy to begin it. That's what fire represents. Aries, as the first sign of zodiac, is a spark of energy. Then the next fire sign, Jupiter, where Leo rather, where Jupiter is. Leo is much more of a flame that occurs. And then you get this huge conflagration of fire energy in Sagittarius, where Saturn is, which is not its favourite sign. However, as I said, it can ground things, make things manifest. So the solar plexus as a chakra is the centre of our body. Colour is yellow. Caroline Niss, in her work, Anatomy of the Spirit, I love her work, she calls the different chakras sacraments. And she says the third chakra is about confirmation. To me, that's what astrology can do. I'm here to confirm what each client already knows, what you already know about yourself. But when I remember my first astrology reading, I could not believe the astrologer, what he was telling me. And at last, I felt somebody knew me. I mean, we'd never met. But he said things at that time that really stayed with me. I was very, very shy in those days, and I didn't say a single word because I didn't want my voice on tape. Little did I know that I'd end up speaking publicly. But notice this chart. Something's in the womb, something is behind the scenes, that's where the sun is, and it's got Neptune, and it's got Chiron, both to do with healing, both to do with other dimensions, the psychic realm. They're all there in this chart for this third chakra, our power, our passion. So coming back to the Aries, the pioneer, that's what I believe we can all bring together, because Neptune, that energy of Neptune, is the paladin. It's the spiritual warrior. So it is very strongly connected. So now I'm going to talk you through an intuitive process. And some of you know my work, some don't, but an intuitive process is it is as it says, it's trusting your inner teacher, not memory. But my purpose always is to heal. So I want us to all, as a group, now to join. There's 28 of you here at the moment, for us to join together, because you're here live with me, and we can connect and make things very, very potent and strong for each other. So the exercise is, as I said, intuitive. So obviously you can read what's up here. I want you to know, if you were to know, that's intuitive, how many months old you were when you lost your power. You were, and trust whatever number comes into your mind, how many months old were you? You might want to write this down. It's very useful information I can share. Who was with you? Again, just guess. And what was happening? Now, you can't possibly remember, well, maybe you might do, but just guess, you know, who was with you, what was happening. This is to do with loss of power. As a young baby, we are powerless, aren't we? Again, just guess what comes to your mind. You might want to close your eyes. So the next question, on a percentage of 0 to 100, 0 is when you're in your true center, when you're all-powerful, you're completely happy, everyone around you is happy. So that's 0. So on a percentage of 0 to 100%, how much did you give up on yourself and lose power? So what's your answer? If your answer is 100, it means a part of you died then. It'd be a lost self. And it can happen. I can tell you it can happen. So this is a curved ball question. As a result, what did you decide about men? Men were. And also, as a result, what did you decide about women? Women were. Now, if you're a girl or a woman, whatever you decide about women, you're now a woman. And if it's a negative, you might still be holding that energy somewhere in your power shot, in your body. So I'm asking, where in your body did you hide or bury that power that you had as a child? That we all have. This is our spirit. And where in your body did you maybe hide anger? Because we're talking about Mars here. So don't get caught too much in your head. But what I want to say, just very briefly, whatever number you wrote down, okay, whatever number you wrote down, how many months old, that number will have a significance for you. So it might, you know, this is where a pattern can emerge in your life. So I said 2. That's my number out the top of my mind. 2 happens to be a relationship number. My sister was born when I was 2, very close to me, just a month after me. But I know that my mum was with me, and I know I've done a bit of past life hypnotic regression. I know this, actually, she was potty training, which can happen, early, but I felt she was forcing me, and I wasn't ready. So her power over me, of course, as mother, was immense. But 2 is a relationship number. I mean, in my life, often every 2 years, or in any relationship, after 2 months, I might hit a wall. I might feel I've lost my power. That's how it can work. So that number, and there'd be different stories in our lives, not just one incident in our life where we might have lost power. So you might even have said more than one number there. Also, we bring in, and this is where astrology can be so useful, we might have brought in a story from another lifetime or our ancestors, which then we're carrying within us. And I haven't finished, so okay, so carry on and heal just this one thing. So the center, the solar plexus, is our center, and this is a process called centering. And that's the place of peace and happiness. And I'm quoting from Chuck Spezzano again. He, in his book, very, very beautiful card deck, it's called The Healing Deck, Conspiracies. And centering, he says, is a return from illusion to a place where you're more in tune with your being. It opens you up to soul-level gifts. It removes everything that is holding you back from your purpose and your destiny. So to receive the gift of centering, close your eyes. And all you need to do is call on your guardian angel, call on your higher mind, and you can call on anyone, any avatar that you have a relationship with, if that's Jesus or Buddha, Kuan Yin. But see your friends in high places carrying you and everyone else involved when you lost power, each and every one of you back to your center. Because if we've lost power, we might then find later on in our lives we get into power struggles with people where we want to control them because we were once controlled and we felt we'd lost power. And every fight is all about power and a power struggle. So in this place, it's about centeredness, about peace. You can forgive the person that you brought into that situation, that you may have blamed. But in truth, we can never lose anything unless we don't value it. So I'd now like you to imagine a doorway in your mind. It's best if you haven't got your eyes closed to close your eyes, please. So go within. Imagine this doorway in your mind. And this is the doorway of initiation. This is a new beginning in consciousness. And I'd like you to walk through that door and embrace greater awareness, more power, and your gifts of vision and purpose. And I'd like you now, one more step, and that's to tune into your body. Where did you bury your power? Because you might have a weakness in that particular part of your body. And just trust whatever comes in. And now blow the breath, the sacred breath of life, back into that place. Feel your whole being now filled with light. That golden, yellow, vibrant energy of your life force, your true power. So of course when you're ready, come back, open your eyes and come back. And here now on my screen, this isn't taken this year, but it's a picture of a crescent moon and Venus. And that's what you'll be seeing, depending on how, if the moon is visible. You never know how when the moon comes in. But notice when you see that crescent moon, Venus is close by. You might not actually see it, but it's there. And I'm ending almost with some, I'm sure many of you know this, but for those of you who don't, and I always meet people who haven't heard of this before, it's by Marianne Williamson. It's called, from her book A Return to Love. It was credited to Nelson Mandela, but he never ever said it. But it's very relevant for the power chakra. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We asked ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to manifest the glory of God that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So I conclude this presentation. I want you to carry this energy of your personal power through not just this weekend coming, but remember 0 degrees Aries is the spring equinox. It is a very important point in astrology. It connects us to humanity, to having a really important purpose. And each and every one of us is part of that. Marianne Williamson said it's not just for one person, it is for everyone. So if you want to know more about the numbers and the relevance, I do offer a free report on that. And I know I have offered it in the past, I offer it again, especially for new subscribers. So thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you again very soon on my next webinar.